Nigeria's security conversation took a dramatic and unmistakably serious turn this week when the Minister of Defense, Lieutenant General Christopher Musa, delivered one of the strongest warnings Nigerians have heard in a long time. This was not a routine statement. It was not diplomatic language. It was not coded or indirect. It was blunt, deliberate, and aimed squarely at individuals whose words and actions, according to the government, are dangerously close to empowering terrorists and bandits who have turned large parts of the country into killing fields. Speaking during an official visit to Maiduguri, a city that has seen the worst horrors of insurgency, General Musa made it clear that the era of ambiguity is over. According to him, the federal government will no longer tolerate any form of support for bandits and terrorists, whether that support comes through direct action, public influence, carefully chosen words, or even silence. In a country bleeding from kidnappings, massacres, and displacement, silence itself, he suggested, can be a form of betrayal. Then came the line that has since echoed across Nigeria and ignited intense debate. In a simple but devastating phrase, the defense minister said, "A friend of a thief is a thief." Those words were not accidental. They were chosen to send a clear message: anyone who defends criminals, rationalizes their actions, or gives them moral cover should not pretend to be innocent. According to the minister, once you cross that line, you are no longer a neutral observer. You become part of the problem. While General Musa did not mention names at first, it was impossible to miss the target of his warning. The statement was widely understood as a direct response to the long-running and controversial comments and actions of Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi. For years now, Gumi has been at the center of Nigeria's banditry debate. He has openly visited bandit camps hidden deep inside forests, sat face-to-face with armed criminals, and described them in ways that many Nigerians find shocking and deeply painful. Referring to bandits as our brothers and suggesting that society cannot function without them struck a nerve in a country where those same bandits have slaughtered villagers, abducted schoolchildren, raped women, and wiped entire communities off the map. General Musa acknowledged that compassion and empathy are important values. But he drew a hard and unmovable line between compassion and complicity. According to him, once people begin to justify terrorism and banditry, once they start framing mass murder and kidnapping as social grievances or misunderstandings, they are no longer helping to solve the crisis. They are fueling it. They are giving criminals legitimacy, confidence, and a false sense of moral acceptance. This warning lands at the heart of one of Nigeria's most sensitive and divisive national debates. Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has consistently defended his engagement with bandits by arguing that many of them are Fulani headsmen driven into crime by cattle rustling, land disputes, poverty, and long-standing marginalization. He believes that dialogue, negotiation, and addressing grievances can end the violence more effectively than bullets and bombs. His supporters say his approach has prevented bloodshed and opened channels that the military cannot. But for many Nigerians, especially victims of bandit attacks, that argument feels like an insult added to injury. These are people who have buried loved ones, watched children dragged into the bush, and fled their homes with nothing but the clothes on their backs. To them, hearing anyone refer to their tormentors as brothers or portray them as misunderstood victims feels like a slap in the face. Security experts and government officials argue that such language emboldens criminals, sends the wrong message, and undermines the morale and effectiveness of security forces who risk their lives daily. General Musa's statement made it clear that the government sides firmly with this view. He stressed that terrorism and banditry must never be framed in ethnic, regional, or religious terms. Nigeria is a diverse nation, but shared identity cannot be used to excuse mass murder and organized crime. A criminal is a criminal, he said, regardless of background, belief, or grievance. Once innocent lives are targeted, every justification collapses. Perhaps the most chilling part of the minister's message was his insistence that moral and rhetorical support can be just as dangerous as supplying weapons or money. When influential voices normalize criminality, they create space for these networks to survive and expand. According to him, anyone who defends, excuses, or shields criminals through words, influence, or silence will be held accountable for the consequences. In matters of national security, He warned, neutrality does not exist. You either stand with the law and with Nigeria, or you stand with those destroying it. This raises powerful and uncomfortable questions about freedom of speech in a democratic society. Nigeria prides itself on being a democracy where people can speak freely, advocate for peace, and challenge government policy. But where does free speech end when lives are at stake? Where is the line between peacebuilding and legitimizing terror? The government's position appears to be that dialogue is not forbidden, but it cannot undermine the rule of law or validate criminal groups in the process. For Sheikh Gumi, this warning represents a turning point. His entire approach is now under the brightest spotlight yet. Will he continue engaging bandits despite this clear message from the highest levels of government? Will he modify his language and methods? And if the government decides to move beyond words and pursue legal action, what precedent would that set for activists, clerics, and civil society groups involved in conflict resolution? Many Nigerians are watching closely, not just to hear what is said next, but to see what is done. Strong warnings have been issued before, but enforcement has often fallen short. If arrest or prosecutions follow, it could mark a major shift in how Nigeria confronts those accused of enabling insecurity. If nothing happens, critics may dismiss the warning as empty rhetoric meant to calm public anger without delivering real change. Beyond the domestic debate, the message also speaks directly to bandits and terrorists themselves. It tells them that the era of sympathy is over. That they should not expect influential allies to sanitize their crimes or cloak them in moral language. It strips away any illusion that they are freedom fighters or representatives of a marginalized cause and labels them plainly and unmistakably for what they are, criminals preying on innocent Nigerians. The choice General Musa laid out could not be clearer. Stand with the law and the nation, or be counted among those enabling criminality. No middle ground. No excuses. No ambiguity. Now the question remains, how will religious leaders, community figures, civil society groups, and ordinary Nigerians respond to this challenge? Will engagement strategies change? Will messaging shift? And most importantly, will this tougher stance finally translate into improved security on the ground? This debate is far from over, and its outcome may shape Nigeria's security strategy for years to come. What do you think about the defense minister's warning? Should dialogue with bandits ever be allowed in the name of peace, or does it cross a dangerous line? Should the government act against those who defend criminals, or would that threaten free speech? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's have a serious, respectful conversation about the future of Nigeria's security.